Hello, welcome back to Blender Sushi Live Noding. In this episode, we're gonna talk about procedural stuff, but it's not. I'm not using nodes. This is basically using just a modifier stack, or sometimes I just call it like a modifier combo. So this is actually rather quite simple. What's happening here is that we have a torus, and the torus is being influenced on the fly thanks to this vertex weight proximity. So this is probably kind of unusual, but basically this cube is having influence. It's actually influencing the weighting that's applied into this torus. You can actually see it in the inside the weight pane. This supposed to be displaying the weight, but anyhow, it's influencing the torus so that the torus is kind of like a shrink wrap. It's kind of like a losing its detail when this cube is influencing the torus. So it's quite unusual effects, and it's basically something that I would like to replicate using nodes, maybe using sphere chalk or animation nodes. But for now, it's just a modifier combo. So you can see it's just basic shrink wrap, a bit of displacement. If I get rid of displacement, it's simply just a. You can see how the mesh becoming like a kind of less, kind of like decimated, because we actually have decimate underneath. So this actually even seems like more complicated than it actually is. It's actually really simple. Okay, so let's get started from scratch. File, save as, this one, torus, decimate, weight. So this the weighting of an effect. If you can weight or map an effect and influence it in real time, that's kind of like a complicated, or it's a powerful concept, even though it sounds complicated, but it's not really. So we have a torus, and you can decide on the resolutions. I'll just keep it simple, maybe subdivide it once. So subdivide once and apply. I'm gonna save it, and then I'll have another torus underneath. I'll call it decimate, and I'm gonna decimate this torus and make it less in resolution, like a 0.125. So you can see the difference. This torus is decimated, and this one normal. Maybe this one is too little. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. Maybe even less. And what's gonna happen is that this guy, the original torus, will snap. We're gonna shrink wrap it into the decimated torus and tell it to go to the nearest vertex. So you can see now it's like this guy and this guy looks the same. We're gonna hide the torus decimate. We're not gonna render it either. We're not gonna touch it. But this guy seems like kind of like reducing in resolution, but it's actually still the same. And if we use the vertex group, if we are doing like a vertex painting on this guy, we can kind of influence it. So it's interesting way to do this. So if we paint it manually, we can basically affect this guy if we are using the weight. So this the ones underneath is like getting decimated on the fly, sort of. But that's the idea. So we're not gonna be using this method of weighting. We're gonna do it in real time. You can use dynamic paint, but for now we're just gonna be using modifier. So let's go to the weighting and maybe fill it out. Where's the fill here? I think we can go to edit mode and then just assign weighting of 1. go to object mode. So you can see here we have control over the weighting of this guy. So that makes sense, right? And then we want to influence this weighting using vertex weight proximity. So that's this is where the modifier become a little bit more powerful. And we will be using icosphere because icosphere has a lot of points, and we can sort of subserve it if we need it. So this guy, we just gonna need to look at it with the wire. So the weighting of this torus will be influenced by the geometry of the icosphere. So you can already see what's going on there. So that's starting to get interesting. And influence it, make sure it's influenced by vertex, edge, and face. Just shift and then turn on everything. The global influence, I think lowest and highest you can control. Would be nice to actually have this like a maximum 100%, but I think that's kind of okay. We can increase this, just play around with the number. So yeah, I think you start to get, you start to see what's happening there. If this guy is being influenced 100%, it's as if the torus is becoming lower in resolutions. It can be more obvious if we are using displays and simply use the same vertex weight. So that's a little bit more interesting. The only thing is that with this modifier, I don't think we can accumulate the effects. I might be wrong. Maybe there's something here that can actually accumulate the weight, just like what dynamic paint is doing. With the dynamic paint, the weighting can actually accumulate. So we are not like currently it's it's influencing it, but it doesn't grow or it doesn't accumulate. Would be nice to be able to do that using modifier alone. We cannot have two objects. So with dynamic paint, you can do that. Well, actually, you can have multiple. If we have multiple vertex weight, maybe you can have multiple influencer. But so there you go. That's the effects happening, and we can use wireframe at the end here. So you can see here with this guy, if we give it a color, it's very clear what it's doing. It's becoming lower res as this guy covering it. All right, so that's basically what it is. Nothing too fancy, but just a quick technique. Ideally, it should be maybe some kind of nodes, because modifier is fine. It's actually pretty powerful as well because it's interactive, it's real time, and you can always swap the stacking of modifier. But if this is like a nodes, it will be a lot more powerful, I guess. I will try to do this using nodes at some point, but for now, make sure we understand this first. So if we can control the weighting in real time, then we can control an effects on an object in real time also, and that's really powerful concept. So there you go. That's pretty much what I want to talk about. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.